What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next I have got a huge unboxing here. If you saw from the thumbnail, another keeper book that's adding to my collection of Marvel mystery comics. There's some awesome books in this one. I'm also going to go over the current Marvel mystery issues that I have. Let's check these out. Alright, so before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. So, I didn't used to always be into Golden Age books. Like when I first got back into comics, like a little more heavily about, I don't know what it was now, 4.5 years ago, I was really just going after the books that I wanted when I was a kid. I didn't even know about Marvel mystery comics when I was a kid. And so I started off, buying a lot of the like Spider-Man type stuff. And I still have a lot of that, but that's just where I started with what I knew. And then as I got exposed to more and more different types of comics, watching auctions, following people on Instagram, all this kind of stuff, I found all these other types of books that also interested me. The pre-code horror, sci-fi, covers by Alex Schomburg, Frank Frazetta, L.B. Cole, all this kind of stuff. And some of the ones that really started appealing to me was Golden Age books. And so that's where I got into the pre-code horror and all that. But I also really like these Alex Schomburg, especially World War II era covers, World War II content, the Good Girl art covers, all that kind of stuff. So in this box, I have 3 books. You can see it is a pretty large box. I'm guessing they double boxed this one. And there are a couple Marvel mystery issues in here and one other book as well. It's not all Golden Age. There's a Silver Age book in this one too. And all right, it's definitely double boxed. We got all these packing peanuts. I'm gonna try to not make a huge mess.
A few moments later.
Now we have the second box. Now this one has the 3 books in it. And, that definitely, to me, it's like, it doesn't take anything away from the Silver Age books or anything like that. It's just for the way that I have, the whole thing, everybody gets to collect the way they want to. The way that I have decided, to approach this hobby is also as a business. I have my stuff I like to collect, but it's also a business to me. So the way that I've approached this, I've talked about this a number of times, is I have what I call like my keeper list. Some people would call it their PC, whatever you want it to be. But I call it my keeper list. And that list is right now approximately 35 books. And so part of the reason I do that is so that then it limits, the amount of stuff that I keep, and then the rest of it is going up for sale. And then every book that I end up buying is always in competition with stuff that's on that keeper list. And so I end up kicking things off the list if I get something in that I want more. And over the last couple years, that list has really transformed into all Golden Age, I think, plus the Star Wars #1 35-cent variant that I picked up. And so that currently, I believe, is the only non-Golden Age book on that list. And so part of the reason for that has been that I found that with non-Golden Age books, I can get them back if I want. Like a lot of the books that I used to think were a little harder to get, like Marvel Spotlight 5 or Fantastic Four 5 or things like that. It's like I see them for sale regularly. I can get them if I want to. Whereas a lot of these Golden Age books, you can't get them if you want to. Maybe like if you have unlimited funds and you can just go and like throw money at people and be like, hey, I'll give you 2 times what that book is worth. Like, yeah, you can probably get almost any book you want. But for most people, myself included, that is not an option. And so for myself, like if I'm picking up or if I have this Golden Age book, it may be the only time in my lifetime I ever have a chance to get that book. Or it might be years. Like lifetime is a pretty long time, but you could say years. I mean, a lot of these books I've only ever had 1 copy, and I probably will only ever have 1 copy. And so I know if I sell that book, the likelihood of in any type of reasonable time frame of being able to get that book again is very low. So that's the type of thing that has really been driving my decisions on my keeper list, and why it really has transformed a lot more into the Golden Age stuff, because I know if I get rid of it, I might not get it again. And so that's just a lot more of my, kind of like my thought process on this. But one of the eras, like I said, that I really like, or one of the runs that I really like, is Marvel Mystery Comics. So if you're talking about timely, so it went Timely, then Atlas, then Marvel. So Timely is one of the precursors to Marvel. And so when you're talking about timely books, you've got some really big runs that were during the Golden Age. You've got Captain America comics, you've got Submariner comics, you've got Marvel Mystery Comics. There's probably something I'm missing, and somebody will yell at me or something in the chat. But those are, like, off the top of my head, those are the big three timelies. And Submariner is kind of like lower on that list. Like Cap and Marvel Mystery are two really big ones. But we'll start with the Silver Age book first. So I picked this one up. I've always thought this was a cool cover. But this is, I would call it kind of a medium key. It's not, I wouldn't say it's like a huge key, but a medium key from this run. This is Tales to Astonish number 59. Now, the cool thing about this one is in a very high grade. It's in a 9.0. This is a pretty nice grade for this one. 1964 Tales to Astonish run, definitely not as popular of a run as, something like Spider-Man or Fantastic Four. So not as many issues out there, especially not as many in high grade. So 9.0, I thought this was a cool one to pick up. And if you're not familiar with what is like the key fact of this one, we got it up here. This is the first appearance of Hulk in this title. And so Incredible Hulk, he started in his own title, Incredible Hulk #1, but he only got 6 issues. It's almost like they didn't really know what to do with them. It's like I think like 4 of those 6 issues are origin stories. It's like they just kept retelling his origin. And so when that got canceled, basically he switched over to this title. And this title split, like you'll see these later issues where it's like a split cover where it's like half Hulk and half, whether it's Submariner or Giant Man or something like that. And so you have a lot of these issues that are split between the Hulk and other characters. But yes, this is the first time he's in there. Cool Hulk versus Giant Man battle, and a 9.0. So really solid presenting grade of this book. So that's the first one. Now, next book. This is where we'll start. I've got 2 more books here. They're both Marvel Mystery Comics. First one is the one that is not getting added to the keeper list. So I've got 2 here. One of them is going on the keeper list. So I'll have 5 Marvel Mystery Comics now on my keeper list. The other one is not going on that keeper list. And this one is Marvel Mystery number 31. And this is a World War II era cover. This is you can see up here, the Remember Pearl Harbor issue. And so they've got this little, there you go, this little Remember Pearl Harbor like emblem on the cover, because it would have been, soon after the Pearl Harbor attack happened. And so I believe the Remember Pearl Harbor issues are 30, 31, and 32. I'm pretty sure that the 3 that are the Remember Pearl Harbor issues are issues 30, 31, and 32. The interesting thing is that none of them are Schomburg covers. And that's part of the reason why it's not going on my keeper list. So Schomburg did, I think, 29 right before the Remember Pearl Harbor issues, and he did 33 right after them, but he did not do any of these. I don't know why that's the case. This one was done by Al Gabriel. This is one of the things that, is one of the more sensitive subjects around some of these books from this era, is that, this is the Japanese World War II cover, and so in these you always have these racist depictions of the Japanese, and so that's always something that's tough with these covers. But a lot of these books, the purpose of some of these books, or part of the purpose, was war propaganda. It's villainizing the person you're at war with, and that's what a lot of these books did. And but pretty crazy cover. You've got Human Torch and Toro, who is, when you see the smaller version of Human Torch, that's who this is, and he is strapped to a cannon. Pretty violent cover. Got Human Torch coming in, melting things, all the types of stuff that Human Torch does. But yeah, Marvel Mystery Comics number 31 and a 3.0, the Remember Pearl Harbor issue. Now, this is the one that's getting added to the keeper list. This one is a Schomburg cover. This is Marvel Mystery Comics number 27. This is from January 1942. And this is a 4.0. Now this one, I believe it has a detached cover. Yeah, cover detached. A 4.0 is about the highest grade you will ever see with a detached cover. And so what that also means is that this is a very, very nice presenting copy for the grade. It has this, limiting flaw, this big limiting flaw, which is the detached cover. And so you end up with, a 4.0 that looks pretty incredible. I mean, here's the back cover. You got the BB gun ads, always really bright advertisements. But, like no really creases or anything to speak of, maybe some tiny little indentations there. And you've got like the kind of like the reader crease, just like along the spine. Really small tear right down here. But otherwise, really, really solid cover. I mean, no creases on the back. I don't really see any staining, maybe a tiny bit, like a dust shadow on the top. But this is one of the Nazi World War II covers. Again, Toro always seems to be, he's always in trouble on these covers. He's kind of like the equivalent of Robin for Batman and Robin. That's what I've always said. Like, I really like Bucky in the Captain America covers because Bucky is always a badass. He's on there. He's got a machine gun or a flail. He's beating up people, all that kind of stuff. But Toro is always getting captured, and I don't know why. I don't know why he's so much less useful, especially because he can turn into, like, he's got flames just like Human Torch. You'd think he'd be able to basically like melt through those ropes pretty easily and get out of there. But World War II cover, pretty cool cover. You will see over time there's like periods where I don't know what the decision process was, but where Schomburg went like heavier on the inks, heavier on the colors. You get a lot deeper reds, deeper yellows, that kind of thing, versus some of the other covers. It's like he transitioned over time how he liked to depict these covers. But yeah, cool book. All the Mystery 2740. Now, let's go over the other Marvel Mystery books that I have. I'm going to start with one raw. The rest of them are graded. And this is Marvel Mystery number 68. If you saw a recent unboxing I did, this is a book that I picked up from Alex the Comic Hoarder. It is missing the centerfold, so it is incomplete. This is one of the ones that's a little later on in the run where you don't really have the World War II content. I think this one might still be in that era, but it's just it's not like every cover was a World War II content cover. They didn't all do that. This might be like 1945. Let's check. And since it's incomplete, I don't mind. No, this is January 1946. So right after the war. So you can see down in the little indicia on the bottom there, January 1946. So this is after the war, and so that's why you don't have the World War II content. But you can see it's a detached cover, and like I said, centerfold is missing. But yeah, just guess show some of the, because this is a chance to see it, some of the interior art that's in here. But there you go. I believe this is a Schomburg. I'm pretty sure it is, but I don't remember offhand for certain. But this one isn't on the keeper list for me. But still, I think having I like having copies of this book around, or these books around from this run. They're just always really cool. One of the things I really liked about the Marvel Mystery run, I really like about it, is that they kept an almost identical header for almost the entire run. And so I think it makes them all look really, really cool, nice next to each other. They all just match up really well. You might have some minor variations, like in the color of comics, that kind of thing. Because like you can see here, this one, it's white. And in this one, it's black. And then in this one, it's yellow. So there are small variations that you might see in the cover, but it's very, very consistent. The really main things that might change are like the heading changes from white to yellow, that kind of thing. All right, now let's go from, these are the slabs, let's go from oldest to newest, or I guess the latest issue to the oldest issue. So first one is Marvel Mystery number 88. This is a 5.5, really nice grade copy of this book. It's from 1948. This one is one of, I can't remember if it's one of the only issues that has Captain America in it. There is a later issue, I don't remember if it's a later issue, or right around this time, if I remember, I'll plug a picture in here, that has Captain America on the cover. It is the only Marvel Mystery Comics issue that has him on the cover. But this one, pretty cool cover. It's not a Schomburg, but it has Blonde Phantom, Sun Girl, Submariner, and Human Torch on the cover. So pretty cool cover, like this one. So, but a 5.5, really nice grade for this book. Then now we're moving into one of my keeper books. This is Marvel Mystery number 56, 1.8. This one is definitely a Schomburg cover. You can usually tell Schomburg covers because of just how much is going on. He is telling a story on the cover. Also, just the way that he depicts the Human Torch is usually pretty unique, and the way that he does the melt through on the walls, because a lot of times you have Human Torch busting through a wall. This is a crazy cover. Another one where you can see you've got Toro that is in trouble. He is on the roasting spit, which doesn't make any sense because he can turn into flames, so it's not really going to do anything to him. But you've got the Good Girl art cover. You've got this like pirate guy with a claw hand. You've got Human Torch melting through the swastika on the cover. You've got the hooded Nazis. I mean, just tons of crazy stuff going on in this one. This was one that was an interesting one because when I bought it, it had a bunch of glue on the spine, and I spent a whole bunch of time picking off that glue and was able to get the blue label on this one. So I was real happy with how that one turned out. Next, another keeper. This is Marvel Mystery Comics number 52. This one, in my last video, I talked about a bunch of books that I picked up from Flip Mode Comics. I bought this book raw from Flip Mode. I had it pressed by the comic book presser and sent in, because I've had some people ask about, do I get Golden Age books pressed, books from the 40s pressed, because out of like fear of brittleness, damage to the book. And it depends on the book. I mean, if a book is really fragile, maybe you don't want to, but yes, I definitely get Golden Age books pressed, and sent off for grading, and this was one of those. Also, I mean, this was another one. I also had this one pressed and cleaned before getting sent off. But this is a 4.5, slightly brittle pages, awesome cover. This one has just about everything you want going on it. You've got Human Torch beating up Nazis. You've got this, again, the hooded Nazi guy here with this skull scepter with the swastika on the top. You've got Toro again captured and caught on the cover, the Good Girl bondage type cover, and they've got this contraption that's going to smush them and just catch all their whatever comes out. But yeah, just a crazy cover. 4.5, beautiful presenting copy of this book. Cool book. Baby Ruth Ed on the back. But yeah, this is another one of the keepers for me. Next, this is also one of my keepers. This is Marvel Mystery Comics number 29. So yes, 29, like I said, is the last one that Schomburg did before those 3 Remember Pearl Harbor issues. This one, for example, is not, one of it's World War II era, but there's no swastikas or anything like that on the cover. It's just like a Good Girl art bondage cover where she's going to get chopped up by this sawmill. You've got these little goblin guys, down in the corner here. The Green Goblin type characters, not the Spider-Man version, but they often appear on these different covers, like different little like monsters like that on these covers. But yeah, you can see a little note up there, classic bondage torture cover, 3/0/1942. Got an awesome date stamp too, right there. That's pretty cool. But yeah, this is one of those that, like I said, it's a little heavier ink on this one, compared to, you hold it up next to this, and you just see it's different reds. And it's not that like one is faded or anything like that. It's just certain, like you can just tell, like this one here, it's just like heavier colors. The greens are really dark. The blues are really dark. I like the lighter coloring a little bit more. But yeah, you definitely see these slight transitions during that period. Now, next one, great cover, but it is not on my keeper list. But this is Marvel Mystery Comics number 17. Another book that I got pressed and cleaned first before getting it graded. I had no idea what this book was going to come back for the grade. I was happy with the 2.0. It's extensive restoration, C5, and it's because of basically the spine here. This spine was like completely like rebuilt, and then they drew on the back, they drew this, scrolling for this picture frame. I thought that was so hilarious. I've talked about that before. I think that's just like the funniest restoration I've ever seen. But the back cover is really cool. You've got this full picture of the Human Torch. No advertisements or anything like that. But yeah, so this is a World War II one. You've got like the British battleship. You've got the Nazi battleship. You've got Submariner on the cover there. You've got Human Torch on the cover, just really cool cover. This one's awesome. Again, this is early. This is 1941, in March of 1941, and so super early cover. And you know, you got ads for Human Torch on the bottom, that kind of stuff. But yeah, Marvel Mystery number 17. Now the final book. This is actually one of my top books in my entire collection. One of my favorite books that I have in my entire collection. This is Marvel Mystery Comics number 7 in a 6.0. This is from May of 1940. This is, you think, the second Schomburg Human Torch cover, I believe. I'm pretty sure this is the second Schomburg Human Torch cover. And this is the first one, in my opinion, where it really looks like the Human Torch. His first Human Torch cover is issue 5, but it doesn't look like this. This is how the Human, I mean, like, look at this. This is 68. Human Torch looks the same. Like, this is how the Human Torch looks forever afterwards in this run. You know, that's how they draw him, you know, afterwards in this run. And this is an incredible comic. I mean, a 6.0 from 1940. You got the Good Girl Art bondage type cover, the old-timey diving suits and everything. You've got the melting through the wall, which is an homage to issue number 1. You know, it looks very similar to issue number 1, but a much better drawing. Schomburg is a far superior artist than the artist for issue 1. But yeah, I love this book. This is one of my top books in my collection, and definitely on the keeper list. But hope you enjoyed this video. Saw some cool books. You know, my current Marvel Mystery Comics that I have. If you enjoyed this video, if you'd like to see more stuff like this, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I've got more videos over here. If you'd like to watch some of my other videos, and the subscription button right here. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.